Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. My name's FPL Phillips and this is your Game Week 26 episode of Eddie versus the Algorithm, the series here on YouTube where we're seeing over the course of an FPL season what does better at FPL, a machine, the Fantasy Football Fix algorithm, or a man, me, yours truly, putting together a free hit team every week to see if I can outscore the algorithm, which I did not do in Game Week 25. It beat me very narrowly. Both teams actually did rather naff, I say. But hopefully 26 can be better at a game week where we'll take a look at a free hit draft. Not many free hits being played this week, more so the wildcard chip looks a very popular strategy, so it will also be very interesting to compare how these sides look up against a potential wildcard draft. So let's get into things then and kick things off, as always, with the algorithm team. And for the algorithm this week, it is a 3-4-3 formation predicted to score 63 points, so not quite the heights as I saw the algorithm's prediction and some of your teams getting in Game Week 25. There were some very impressive scores out there, so well done to any of you who got like 80 points or above. Really seemed to be a pretty decent score. But in goal for the algorithm, Game Week 26 is what we want to focus on, and it's going to be David Raya, who seems a very popular option on the wildcard as well. So it's good to see that the algorithm is backing up that pick of the Brentford keeper. Going with him for that home fixture against Fulham is what the computer has decided to do. The clean sheet odds look pretty good for them as well. You'll see in a moment just who I've gone for in goal, and it isn't Raya, but I would have him definitely on a wildcard draft. I think you need him or Robert Sanchez to basically cover Game Week 27, where both those teams are going to double. It would be nice to have a goalkeeper in who's got twice the amount of fixtures of any other in that game week. But in defence then, we're seeing a back three lining up of Rico Henry. We've also got Gabriel of Arsenal and then Lewis Dunk. So a very strong backline as well, in my opinion. Rico Henry, although many people will be going for Ben Mee, who's 12% ownership, Rico Henry looks a very nice, tasty differential option, and his underlying data is much stronger than Ben Mee's over the course of the last couple of game weeks and ever since the World Cup restart. So Rico Henry, although he has the better underlying data, Ben Mee has that kind of goal-scoring threat that Rico Henry doesn't seem to have. Ben Mee scored so many goals this season already for a defender that it does seem a bit of a risk to go with Rico Henry ahead of going with Mee. So on paper, Henry's underlying data looks better. I've looked at that, compared it all using the OptaStats tool over on the website, which you can do for yourself down below. The link is in the description for that tool. So Henry's data looks better, XG, XA, all that. But Ben Mee just might not have had that Thunder Bastard header that he needs in the last couple of game weeks, and it could come out of nowhere, as we know with Ben Mee. So either one of those two, I think, looks a really solid option for the back. You could even go with Ethan Pinnock. There are some good options into the Brentford defence, and a double up is very interesting to see. A home fixture against Fulham could be without Mitrovic potentially, but you never know. Fulham haven't looked too bad goal-scoring wise, but they do lack that kind of goal-scoring ability without Mitrovic up front, unsurprisingly. Gabriel's been very good for bonus points recently. He came away with a big haul for any owners in Game Week 25. Going up against Bournemouth at home looks another potential clean sheet for Arsenal in the bag. And so yeah, Gabriel looks a very good pick. I think him or Zinchenko are probably the ones to go for in the Arsenal defence right now. Gabriel, they're basically neck and neck for bonus points. Gabriel has been getting the more bonus points, but Zinchenko's been playing so high up the pitch. We saw his assist for Saka's opener in the second game of Game Week 25, and he has been getting some attacking returns recently, so Zinchenko could also offer a nice way into the Arsenal defence. And then finally, Lewis Dunk. I do prefer Estupiñán if he's fit, but that is an if, because Desiree hasn't actually confirmed that he will be back for the weekend. One thing I will say is that if you're on a wildcard draft and you have other defensive options you could play, it could be worth it to have Estupiñán anyway, just even if you have to bench him 1 week, to have him in for the double game week where he'll more than certainly be back for then. In midfield, we're going to see a midfield four of Salah, Odegaard, Saka with the captain's armband, and then finally McAllister for the algorithm. So the algorithm is sticking with Mohamed Salah, which is interesting to see. I think that Manchester United fixture is a tough one, but at Anfield, Liverpool could get something in that game, I'm sure. Manchester United have looked a lot better defensively with Casemiro back in the side, which we were all predicting, to be honest. Whether they can do it on the road at Anfield would be the sign of a really strong Manchester United team. So Salah not getting the captain's armband this week, but still in the algorithm side. Odegaard and Saka for Arsenal, don't really need to explain why. And Saka taking the armband is interesting. I'm guessing the vice-captaincy up front is going to be on a certain Norwegian forward. But then McAllister of Brighton coming in as the Brighton midfielder asset. Matoma and March look very popular as well. But when you compare and look at that underlying data, which I've done for you using the tools on the website, we can see that since game week 23, which is when Lallana got injured and McAllister moved into that number 10 role behind the striker, McAllister's expected goal data is better than March's expected assist data is better, and then overall, in every area, pretty much, Matoma's points and expected data, underlying figures, are all way below that of March and McAllister, I should say. There's too many M's in that Brighton side. So McAllister and March actually look the two best picks, I think. March carrying a little bit of a knock at the moment. You could even go with both McAllister and March and bench March this week if you're on a wild card. But I really do like the pick there, especially with the fact that McAllister is on penalties for Brighton. And then finally, up front, we've got a front line of Ivan Toney, Erling Haaland and Harry Kane, which I'm assuming a lot of people will have even on a wild card. So it's good evidence for going for that front line if they're going to do well this week as well. Tony has got that kind of ban looming over him, but the hearing, from what I'm hearing, shouldn't be until April. Hearing the hearing, that's a weird thing to say. But yeah, he could have this game week for sure, game week 27, all the way up until double game week 29 should look safe, hopefully, for Ivan Toney, because double game week 29 finishes around early April. I think it's the 5th. Erling Haaland, you kind of just got to have him in your team right now. It's a bit of a risk to go without him, but home fixture against Newcastle. They have been conceding a few more goals recently, but I still think they're a very solid defence, which is probably why he doesn't get the armband. And then finally, Harry Kane. And with the news that Spurs are out of the FA Cup, they won't have any upcoming blanks, so he's a must-have on your wildcard, really. And the algorithm going with him for that away fixture at Wolves as well, who shipped 2 goals to Liverpool in midweek. On the bench for the algorithm, it is going to be Bailey, Nico Williams, and Bueno. Bueno carrying a bit of a knock, so I wouldn't go there. Nico Williams, home game against Everton, not too bad, I suppose, but I don't think either of these players will be needed from the bench. Forster, as the Spurs goalkeeper, is a bit of an interesting pick. Maybe there could be a little bit of consideration to having him as your backup keeper if you're on a wild card. But really, Danny Ward's doing the job just fine. You might even want 2 relatively strong keepers, so a Kepa and a Raya, say forth, so that you can rotate them and have a little bit of keeper rotation in there, because it's not that much extra money, really, to go with Kepa and David Raya. But we'll have a look at my team now. The algorithm, as a reminder, predicted 63 points, and I'm not too far behind on 58, but I've put a few little differentials in this team for you. Our sides are rather similar. I've mentioned my keeper was going to be different, so I've actually gone with Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. Chelsea's clean sheet odds are just a little bit higher than Brentford's for this week, and I wasn't too convinced on the double up, so I have kept Rico Henry. Gabriel and Zinchenko really was a coin toss. I was tempted to go Zinchenko just for the feel of it and the fact that it will make me different from the algorithm, but I do think Gabriel will do well. And then Estupiñán, who's carrying a bit of a knock as mentioned, but hopefully he's back for the weekend. If not, we've got some great cover down there on the bench. In midfield, we've gone with Maddison over Mohamed Salah, so a big saving in price there. Going up against Southampton, who've looked, well, let's put it bluntly, terrible recently. So going for him looks a nice way to invest in that Leicester side, especially when Iheanacho up front is going to take up one of those valuable 3 forward slots that we're filling with the same front 3 as the algorithm 11. Kept Odegaard and Saka as well, and once again the armband is on him. Same goes with McAllister for all the reasons I was bigging him up earlier on in the video. So on the bench this week, a few more differential options if you're looking for them. Gibbs White, Tarkowski, if you've still got him, could be in your side there despite getting 0 points for people who brought him in game week 25, and then Ben Mee. So it was very tough to pick of who to start out of Ben Mee and Rico Henry, but I ended up going with Rico Henry just for that underlying data, going with the statistics. Analytics FC can hopefully carry me through, but you never know with Ben Mee. This could be the week he scores that header. That's going to wrap things up for Eddie versus the algorithm for game week 26. Let me know who you think is going to come out on top down below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe as well if you are new around here, and I wish you all the best of luck for game week 26. I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.